Okay, we are recording. Hi, everybody. Hope you guys are having a fabulous Thursday. Oh, and there's Cheryl just popped on too. Hi, Cheryl. Yeah, so we have a little bit of a smaller group tonight, but I hope that everybody, no matter where you are, is having a fabulous evening. And if you're able to catch the replay, then, well, that's probably why you're seeing it right now. But basically what we wanted to dig into tonight, and us ladies were kind of talking a little bit before we were before I hit the record button, is we really wanted to talk about the mastery of getting started, right? So not just with our business, but also with other things in life as well too. Sometimes when we really want something, we can look at the end goal, like I want to build a restaurant, or I want to start my own online business, or I want to make my first 100,000, right? And we jump right to this place of our end goal, which is great. Of course, we want to know where we're going and what our goals are for sure. But what ends up happening is we put an awful lot of pressure on ourselves to already be at this stage when there's so much in between as well too, right? So, so there's this woman, her name is Brene Brown. Some of you have probably heard of her. And she talks about this concept of mastering the art of getting started, right? And so when I heard this for the first time, it really intrigued me because the way that she breaks it down is so like simplified, and she like takes the pressure off of needing that, like of you feeling like you need to have it like all together and already be there, right? So I was thinking for tonight that I would really love to share like kind of her concept behind that, because I think that's just it, right? Is like if we can find the starting point, then we start to build momentum, and then that momentum. That's the second time I said it like that. Did you hear that, Cressa? Momentum. My intuition's telling me something. I'm trying to make up words. The momentum guides us to the next person and the next person and the next training, and then this book and this natural healing process. And you know what I mean? The momentum definitely takes over. And then we build the confidence, and then we know more and more with each day. So it just like is a natural progression. So one of the things that she's explaining is, instead of feeling like you have to be the master already of that thing, instead of saying, for instance, I think her example, I'll use her example because it's really good. And I'll try and do it justice the way she explains it. Her name was Brene Brown. Brene with a B. And so she talks about somebody who wants to open a restaurant, right? So basically they say, I'm going to open a restaurant. I'm going to launch opening this restaurant. And they're like talking about the launch of this restaurant and creating this restaurant. And it's like this big vision, which is great. The big vision is great. But she suggests that instead of looking at it that way, really taking a step back and just allowing yourself to be a student first. So just like researching, okay, what would it take if I wanted to start a restaurant? And starting to look around at those little pieces of what it's going to take. What do I need to learn? What is a skill set, right? If you're going to launch a restaurant, there's a lot you've got to like start thinking about, like the real estate and where you want it to be located and where the traffic is going to be coming through, and all of the zoning that you might have to get, and the different licenses, and what it's going to cost to have employees, and like all of the payroll that you'll have to, right? Like there's so many pieces that go into it that somebody who, let's say, wanted to start a restaurant could start researching this a little bit every day. And she talks about a lot of times it only takes 15 minutes in the morning, right? And the morning is key, because that's when your creative side, your creative genius, right? She talks about your creative genius being the most awake in the morning, and giving to yourself before you go off to your job or before you go off to your career, really focusing on your passion and what makes you happy first thing in the morning. So, and that rings true. Balazs talks about that all the time, and I totally agree. I see really big difference when I focus on my passionate stuff in the morning as well too. So she's talking about, even if you take that 15 minutes the more you start like reading blogs about how to launch a restaurant, or talking to different people about who've already done it, or talking to people who might want to be an investor. Like there's so many different branches that if you start researching all of the different steps, they naturally will start leading you to each place that you're going to need to be along that path. And it's also going to build you that network of people as well too, that all of a sudden you're going to find yourself just surrounded by all of these people that are already in the restaurant business or real estate, or working like with investments, or with understanding how payroll works and all of that, right? You're then going to have created yourself a circle of people that can support you on that path. And it's the momentum with every step that you take and every day that you do a little bit more that leads you down that path. So it's very, very similar in our business as well too. I mean, this goes for anything in life, right? Because the key to it is the actual momentum itself. So a lot of times, and we see this a lot as well too, right? Like I was doing this example before we started recording, but it's like a jump rope. Like, when you've got like a skip rope and you don't know when to jump in, especially if there's like 3 of them or 2 of them, the double skip rope. And like you're trying to get in, but it's like never a good time. And you're like, oh, I'm going to get hit with that one, or oh, it's too fast, or oh, I've never done it before, or what leg do I get in on, or, am I going to roll my ankle, whatever the case is. That's just an example. But it's very similar here. We see people, and ourselves included, can get frozen or paralyzed in that feeling like it's just too big, or that feeling of like not knowing where to get started, right? So the important thing is just realizing that your now moment is the perfect moment. You haven't missed anything. You're not behind on anything, right? Not comparing yourself to anybody else. We've talked about this a lot of times as well too, right? That's another thing that can be really challenging, is comparing yourself to somebody who's maybe already 3 years in, or whatever the case is, right? So it's like really understanding that now is the perfect moment to dig in and to just start. And there doesn't have to be a timeline to it, or have any of that pressure to already be at the end goal. So I've been having a lot of people reach out to me lately, and they're feeling, the ones I've talked to have been feeling like a little bit paralyzed on where to get started. So some of the people I've been talking to have not actually activated their new membership within the AI platform. So if anybody is listening to this message right now and you don't have your membership renewed to the actual education that you're going to be going through, that would be the first step. Because everything that's inside of there is obviously our business and is really important to learn, right? So if you haven't done that part yet, but you're like, oh, I really want to do the business again, I had to step back, or maybe for people who haven't even started yet and they're like, still kind of on that fence spot, definitely getting the membership back up and going is the first thing. Second thing is like really giving yourself the time, especially if you're still working and you have like busy lives, right? Really like allotting the exact time that you want to be able to go through a specific training. So instead of leaving something really vague, like, okay, I have Wednesday off, I'll get caught up on my training on Wednesday, right? That statement is very vague. So if you can, with intention, write down, I know a lot of you have probably seen the schedule that I don't use it actually quite as strict as I used to, but I still use it as a rough area to look for my pockets of time. But if you, even without the schedule that's in the file section for anybody who doesn't have it, even without it, you can still look and say, okay, Wednesday is my day off and I know I have 3 hours. So really writing down, what do you want to get done in those 3 hours? Like Cress, I know you were working on a flyer for the event that you're putting together there, right? So just using that as an example, like you could specifically say, okay, I'm going to give myself 45 minutes because I really want to get that flyer done. And then I want 45 minutes because I have to watch, or I want to watch whatever, Sales 101. inside of the training, right? Like find a specific training from where you last left off, so that when you get to that block of time on the Wednesday, it's not just, oh, I'll work on the business, right? Being more specific, because it has a lot to do with your intention setting. So what can happen, especially because we work online, we can get in front of the computer. Let's say Wednesday comes, right? We've got that spare 2 hours. We're like, okay, I'm going to work on the business. We get on our computer. It's very easy to get sidetracked, right? And before we know it, that 2 hours is gone. And we probably didn't watch the training that we wanted to watch. You know, we didn't maybe necessarily work on our website or getting that landing page, whatever, set up, or, you know, depends on where everybody is at. But it can happen, right? Messenger comes on and we start answering people back, and then we get caught up in another conversation, and then we see something on Facebook and we leave some engagement on it, and then we get led into another story and we start to read it. We all know how that goes, right? So that's the other piece, is also having like your piece of paper with you, right? So that when you have that specific time set out, making sure that it's kind of like a good meditation, you know, in like a good meditation where you're like, your brain wanders off and you're like, and now I come back to this space. Then your brain wanders off, and now I come back to this space, right? It's kind of the same thing. And I know it sounds really like mechanical to have to do that. Maybe some people don't. Maybe some people are really good at staying focused. If that's you, awesome. But I definitely need something beside me that's like has that block of time, and I know exactly what I wanted to do from 6 to 7 and exactly what I wanted to do from 7 to 8, right? To make the most out of those 2 hours. Hi, Nick. Miss you, buddy. Can't wait to give you a big hug. And coming back to it. You'd be surprised how many times, if you watch yourself, how many times you find yourself in a chat and you're like, oh yeah, right, I was doing something. Come back to the paper. Okay, that's what it was. Back and forth, back and forth. It's natural, right? That's what our brains do. At least if you have something to ground you, right? It's a lot harder to stray from it. Or shall I say, it's a lot easier to stay focused. What did that say? Just about internet spot. Oh, no worries, no worries. We appreciate you hopping on now. Yeah, so what was the other piece? So the other thing I was going to say, do you have a question? No? Okay, I just saw your hand. Are you waving? Yeah. Yeah, so just really like taking some time before the week starts to look at what your week actually looks like. Even if you don't want to fill out that whole weekly schedule thing, that's totally fine. You know, I know that some people really need to go more with the flow, or like to go more with the flow. It's totally good. But understanding where the job hours are, where the family hours are, where the kids' extracurricular is, where, you know, where everything is for the week, so that if you do only have an hour, by the time you get to that day and you get to that hour, you already know exactly what's filling that hour, so that you're not taken, right? You're like focused, you go on the computer, you know exactly what you're doing, you make the most of your time. It's amazing, you guys, how little time we actually need if it's very focused work. It only feels like it takes a lot longer because of us working online, right? And there's so many distractions, it can be really easy to get distracted. So there was another piece that I was just going to say. Does anybody have anything that they want to add in there, or any questions so far? No, everyone's good. The other thing as well too is, I know that I had to do this with myself, especially recently, because I know a lot of you guys know I had to take a step back for a little bit, and I was really finding it challenging to like to know where to get back in, right? Like we talk about that jump rope. And I know that for me, I had to really look at myself and ask myself, who am I now, right? Because we're constantly evolving, and who I was last week is not the same person as who I am this week. So along with our business and everything that we're learning and the way that we want to present ourselves in our business, they have to be growing together. They have to be in alignment with each other, right? Because if we're not constantly checking in with ourselves, all of a sudden we'll feel ourselves a little bit out of whack and we're like, hang on a second here. There's something else going on, you know? So I would encourage everybody to check in with yourself, right? We can have, and I don't mean just like talking to yourself, but we can have a full-on relationship with ourselves, right? Where we honor and ask ourselves questions and observe, sit in silence and observe what comes up for us, right? So I would encourage everybody that if you do feel like any resistance at all with like being hard on yourself on not being able to get to everything, or how to not do something, or something you're not comfortable with, or that you've been fearing, something that you notice you've been procrastinating. It's like the same thing you want to get done, but for some reason you're procrastinating that thing. That one or two things rolls over into the to-do list every week. It's like, okay, I'll move it into next week to do, or next week to do, right? I would encourage you to sit with yourself and ask questions around what that is, right? What that resistance is, or if there's a piece that it's trying to show you something, right? Because it's important to understand, just like other people, like our brains naturally can have like an objection, so to speak, right? So if there's an objection of our own that's silently in there that we're allowing to, lack of better words, fester, right? It will become bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger when it doesn't have to, right? So we'll actually tuck that down and we'll pretend that it's not there, and we'll just try and carry on with this, right? But if we really bring light to, I don't know, I'm just gonna pick something random. I don't know how to talk to people. I get nervous, I get anxious, I don't know what to say, right? That's just one that I'm going to pick off the top of my head, right? If we sit quietly without addressing that or bringing light to that, what it means to us, how we feel about it, we create a whole story around it, right? And that story gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, especially if we don't talk to anybody about it, right? Just like tuck that one in there and keep it to ourselves. When really, like when we bring light to it, it doesn't have to become bigger, right? There are always ways to actually, that very piece of yourself that you feel nervous about or uncomfortable about right now, especially if you talk to people about it. Sometimes all it takes is that slight shift in perception, right? To be, whose name? I don't know.
I'm not
Are you
sure.
asking a question?
Sherry was asking what was her name, but I'm not sure because it just came back to the
Oh, I see.
conversation.
Oh, it was Brene Brown. Sorry, that was from a
Oh,
bug.
okay.
She
I
was
was gonna
asking,
say.
yeah, yeah, she was asking about the lady who's
Oh, okay.
talks
Perfect.
about yeah, the mastering the art of getting started. Yeah, so just realizing within yourself, if you're holding any resistance towards you, towards a specific part of your business, towards something that you're not comfortable with yet being the key word, right? Like it's totally okay to like list them all out, bring them to the surface, bring them to the light, get comfortable with them, love them, nurture them. It's perfect, right? It's perfect. It's actually there to serve you, even if it doesn't feel like it in the moment, right? Even if it's like makes us so uncomfortable, we just want to like pretend it's not there. But it's like, chances are, and using this example, going back to like I don't know how to talk to people, I don't know what to say, I get so nervous, like I don't want to do it, right? Going back to that example, chances are you are actually like an exceptional friend, mother, husband, sister, whoever, and you have no problem talking to your loved ones, giving advice, making connections, right? Having great relationships and communication. So chances are the breakdown is not actually in your desire and your love for sharing and connecting with people. It's just how you're feeling around what you're going to share, right? A lot of people are like, well, I don't know what to say about the business. I don't know what to say about the product. I don't know how to say what I do, right? So there's a difference there. It's not actually in your skills as a communicator or your skills or your likes or dislikes of talking to people. It's more around your message, right? So what is that showing you? It's there for you. It's perfect. It's beautiful. It's there for you with an opportunity to get clearer about your message, right? And your message is special to you. Everybody has a different reason why we do what we do, right? Some of it, it's really like a health aspect. Some people, it's really securing your future aspect. Some people, it's really about the community and the self-growth and the love and connection and expansion, right? It's different for everybody. So just to show you that it's really a good practice and it's very beneficial to make best friends with yourself. Ask your opinion often. Be curious about why things are coming up for you, right? Why certain messages or fears or discomforts, they're there for you. They're there to serve you. Oh, my thing just popped up here. Meeting will end in 10 minutes. Upgrade now. Oh yeah, right. I'm still on the free account. My screen just went away. Hang on, you guys. I clicked something. I think I clicked the upgrade now button. Is the screen still up for you guys, or is it just off for me?
It's up for me.
It's up for you. Okay.
Still up for us.
Okay. Okay. So why don't we, for the sake of, so we've got 9 minutes left. Why don't we, for the sake of tonight, why don't we keep it tight so we don't have to restart and re-record in another room? We'll keep the time tight tonight, just because we only have a few of us in here as well too. So why don't we open, does anybody want to like share anything about where they are or anything that they're struggling with or anything they're really excited about that they think they're going to excel at or feel they're going to excel at, or like kind of anything at all that they want to share in terms of where they are with their business?
I will
Putting
say
everyone on the spot.
that
Yeah.
today when well, you guys, some of you guys know that I'm putting together this event. And so today I went out and about. I was very excited. I was very jacked up about it, and I was taking my flyers around, kind of going from business to business to talk to them, to invite them to this event. And I was doing, I think, my excitement was there. I was talking to people. Things were going great. Many different stops along the way, and I ended up randomly talking to some woman. A friend of mine was with me, going around with me, and there was this woman we started talking to about products she had, and my friend kind of nudged me and said, oh, she would be perfect for you to talk to. So I break out my flyer and I go into my whole spiel. Well, she was snippy, to say the least, and very against everything that I tried to say, and just cutting me off. And well, she has her own business and she was basically trying to compare that she does something similar, but hers is way better than mine could ever compare to. And and I, with a smile on my face, just kind of continued my little spiel, and I ended up giving her the paper anyway, inviting her, you're more than welcome to come and just gain some knowledge, be educated, blah, blah, blah. Bring a friend, bring your husband. I went through the whole thing. And she just got to the point, she just kind of turned and wouldn't even look at me, talked to my friend about a completely different subject. And, and I told her to have a nice day when we walked out, and that was that. But I have to say that it didn't ruin, I'm not going to say it ruined my day. You know, I still had a fine day, but it definitely ruined my momentum. And it kind of sucked that, like, she popped my bubble. So after I walked out of there, I was kind of like, I don't even want to, like, I didn't want to go and talk to anybody else. I didn't want to continue on that road that I had set out for the whole day, you know, in my plan to do. So definitely, it was a blow to my ego, I'm going to say. You know, I know that that's exactly what it was. But yeah, so that set me back a little bit today.
And that's okay. That's
Hmm.
perfect. You know, it's perfect. And you know why? Because it's showing you an opportunity where you can strengthen, my opinion anyways, it's showing you an opportunity where you can strengthen your armor, protecting your energy and not allowing somebody to tug on it and pull you in that direction, right? Because it's very clear that when somebody is that way, it's actually a projection of something that's happening inside of themselves. It has nothing to do with you, right? It's nothing to do with you, your business. I know you know that.
Hmm.
So it's kind of perfect because it's allowing you that opportunity, right? To strengthen.
Yeah, yeah. I kind of said later on, I hope she does show up. I hope she shows up to
Maybe
argue
she
the
will.
fact and
She's probably online right now, like
yeah, oh, I'm
looking
sure.
at everything, right?
She probably was the second I walked out of there.
Yeah. And you know what? It's like, I give kudos to you too, because like, because of the online space and how much we've been able to do online without having to talk to people in person, talk to friends or family, do any live water demos or any events or anything like that, right? We have this opportunity online where we can reach complete strangers all over the world. And that's been very enticing, myself included, right?
Hmm.
Because I was in so many network marketing things, I didn't want to do that anymore. So I give huge congratulations to you for like, you know, being so involved and like dedicated to your process and, you know, really affecting lives and caring for people, especially in your community, right? So it's really great.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, you're very
I always,
welcome.
I always wanted to hide behind the computer screen and just do it online.
Yeah.
But I just feel compelled right now to, you know, take it out to my community. So,
Hmm. Yeah. And you know what? It's crazy. Like it's taken me, personally speaking, it's taken me like almost 3 years to, and this is going to sound silly, but to realize that it's like, why am I not sharing this with people in person? Like, I got so focused on like how well I could do online, not knowing anybody, that it was far more comfortable, right? And then all of a sudden I was like, but I love what I do. And I love how much money I make. And I love how I'm able to impact other people's health. And I love that I haven't had a job for however long and can be with my family. You know what I mean? So it's like, why am I not sharing this with everybody that I care about? You know, so it's just recently within the past couple of weeks that I really started looking at like, okay, no, this is ridiculous. Like I want to do water demos. I want to put on events. I want to talk to people when I feel inspired to, you know? So yeah, it's a big part of our business that, what's that? Yeah, your pamphlet. Nice.
hmm.
Oh, I love it. It's beautiful. Online. You just ordered that off the site? Yeah. Cool. Yeah, you ladies are inspiring me. We had that webinar that was on, not webinar, but like our training when Ashley Strand came on. And then after that, Rod came on and he was talking about offline as well too. It's just like a whole other side, right? That's the thing that I love is like we learn a lot along the way about how to make it all work online. But really, when you think about it, like there's so many creative ways, online or offline, to be able to share the message, you know? And like just, I think that sometimes we can get so like serious about, we turn it into too much of a sales thing sometimes and forget to just have fun with it. Like it can be like crazy, like fun, involve your kids, like, record yourself at a barbecue, make a post about snails. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's crazy cool fun. Oh, my thing is saying that we have less than a minute. Okay, does anybody, it doesn't really leave much time, less than a minute for anybody to say anything.
I don't know if mine's on.
Oh, I can hear you.
I forgot I was going to say though.
Oh no! Quickly.
I don't know. I do that all the time, that song with my kids.
So sorry. It doesn't help that I'm like, less than a minute, Sherry, go.
I have no idea what I was going to say. I don't know.
Okay, well, if it comes to you, you can message me.
It had to do with something you had said, but I don't know what it was. I draw blanks like that. It drives me crazy.
Happens to all of us. So I hear it happens even more so when you get older, but that's what they say.
Not on our water, though.
No, definitely not. All right, everybody. Well, just in case this cuts me off, I love and appreciate you all. And really appreciate everybody showing up and whoever's on the replay, taking time on the replay. And yeah, really just like focusing on just getting started, even with 15 minutes, 15 minutes here, 15 minutes there. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. There is a lot of information all around. It can be overwhelming if we allow it, but it's just one foot in front of the other.